Well, she was so well placed and so strong down at Bells Beach. But it's going to be Johanne Defay, the current world number 2, getting things started nice and early. And have a look at the size of this wave. Standing up beautifully. Johanne lines up the tube, but drives away wisely as that one clamps closed. And she weighs up her options through the inside now. This wave starting to step out on the inside. I wonder if this thing's going to tube and roll through and give that big opportunity to get slotted. As Johanne just instead goes to those moves. Nice cut down there. A bit of foam on the face. This one's getting a little ugly down the line. And she's going to get out of there.
Calling for the ski, using a board that looks a little bit aged. It's been in her quiver for a little while.
And all the big results have really come in the back half of the year where you've got to make your move. Every result counts, and she hasn't missed the semis. In fact, she's cracked 2 finals in this back half of the season.
In her last round, she was able to clinch that spot. So she is definitely going to be at Trestles at the Rip Curl WSL Finals in September. Watching this wave here, yeah, you're saying is a bit more of a measured approach, you know, towards this end section here. It flattened out, she gets some maneuvers done, but a lot of work outside was basically chasing it down the line. So it won't be a gigantic number for her.
Representing France at the Olympics last year, but she has been climbing towards that dream of a shot at a world title. She got it last year, fell short, but she's set up to have another crack at it this season as we see Tyler Wright, the 2-time world champion from Australia, getting her opportunity on a big set wave here on the outside. Tyler's just got such a great range of moves that she can call on, an incredible assortment of forehand turns in particular that she can bring to these long walls. Great variation in her approach. And this wave starting to step out. The other thing Tyler's got working in her favour, an amazing forehand tube rider. As she rides high on this one, now drops to the bottom, weighs up her options. Little layback jam there, didn't really overcommit to the move. Instead, just, I think, identifying that there might be the opportunity to get barreled down the line here. But much like Johanne Defay's ride, this one's going to get a little bit ugly down the line, and she never really found her flow. Tyler Wright came here on a free surfing effort, and she was absolutely blowing minds.
I remember that.
And she hasn't had the opportunity yet here at Jeffreys Bay to chase the win. She gets that spot in 2022, and it doesn't look like she's going to waste it. Looking like she's in great control of her equipment through this ride at the opening stages, Pete.
Yeah, and we got this fuller tide, so the undulations and the waffle still there from this morning. Actually, probably a bit more pronounced, being that we've got the higher tide conditions. You know, with this, you know, a lot of water moving, you're getting the reverberation off of the rocks on the inside. You know, some again measured maneuvers here on this wave, nice and clean though. Transitioning of her rails there. There was the outside turn that was pretty solid, and these inside turns getting stronger down the line, and a very long wave. You know, a lot of ground covered.
It's been one of the real strong points to her competitive success is being able to overcome these multiple world champions. But Tyler Wright's going to swing into this one. Johanne just getting a very slight edge, hoping that those numbers are replaced with big ones for these two competitors, these two 28-year-olds, as we roll through the remaining 26.5 minutes of this heat. Here goes Johanne Defay. So already holding just a very narrow lead, and this wave has a bit more pocket that she can work with.
Smoother on the face as well. You know, you saw Tyler's wave had a bunch of lump in it. This one much smoother.
5 CT wins now for Johanne Defay. It stops all over the championship tour schedule, so she is really versatile. Can get it done in all kinds of conditions as she tucks in and ejects and gets herself out of this one. There's a good chance you're going back over.
Watching this replay here, again, nice first turn, just carves it back, but look how clean this wall is. Second maneuver there, gets a little bit more edge in there, a little more rail. Then this one, I think this third turn here, she pushes a little bit harder. It's a steeper on the face, so it's going to be an improvement. You know, she's going to definitely out here, could be a keeper score. Much more aggressiveness in that arc there, and at this point she's looking for the barrel, but realizes it's going to shut down. In
a heat like this, Pete, obviously when you're free surfing, you know, you're trying to identify a wave out here that, you know, is going to hit the inside and really rattle off, but you're happy to take the set waves when you're just out there without the jersey on. How hard's that adjustment to make to...
That had been running along, and Tyler even pulled off one of her waves then and said, it was like she was talking to herself, she's like, the small ones, I need to get a smaller one, she yelled out. Here she goes now on the smaller draining waves, so back to you guys.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, already has that big, probably the best turn of this heat so far on that opening section, Tyler Wright. But this wave now moving through to the inside. She'll get a couple more opportunities here as she banks off the bottom into the hook again. A smooth top turn And now rounding it out with a big drawn-out carve to finish, and gets out in front of this one and gets on out of there. But that was a better wave, Pete. It did steepen up at the start and allowed that big first turn.
Ultimately, there's challenges for everything. You see, again, this is the replay of Tyler Wright's wave, the adjustment to it. You know, it's probably only a foot or two smaller, but it's just got much more steepness to the face, cleanliness. So she's jamming down the line here. And it's going to stay closer to the reef, especially with this fuller tide, which allows it to have that steeper face. This wave does back off after that first initial section, but it loads back up again, and she does end up getting the best number of the heat. You know, it's these combos of turns right here. The snap, and then drives through and carves, so a good mix of variety there for that finish.
Half a turn and kind of kicking out over the back of the wave. We'll see if Johanne Defay can serve up a big answer here, because Tyler Wright dropped a 6.83 as Johanne loads up. This one a lot cleaner. She has a whole lot of speed. You can tell she's got a bit more foam under her feet, and she's easily gliding over all the bumps out there, but just can't find a bit of open face to really lay that board over and get that first big turn. He's got a couple of wins in mind in these last two contests to potentially give himself a shot at Trestles, as we see Tyler up again. 6.83 on her last ride. Has a whole lot of speed. Looks like she might get caught behind this one for some time, but she's committed, and she's going to find that open face again. This wave really just pushing her down the line, and she did do a pretty nice turn on that outside, so she's willing to commit to it, and she can back up that 6.83 with something big here on the inside. But this is a big commitment required if you're going to get yourself the big number here, and she's going to opt out of this one. Self-preservation is key.
Choice of wave needs to be a good one, and she needs to be her best number there if she wants to keep in this heat.
Here goes Johanne now. So a nice deep takeoff, and looking to potentially set this one up from deep, but she's going to opt out. It's going to stretch out and get away from her, and that'll gift Tyler Wright the priority. Tyler Wright up at the moment and leading this heat, using her priority on this ride, and holding just a narrow lead over Johanne Defay at the moment, trying to make the jump from 10th place, maybe into a position to get herself into the WSL Final 5 and get a shot at a world title. She missed that spot last season due to injury, and she's working this one over. And a couple of nice hooks, grabbing that rail and jumping off on the inside. But Tyler, originally from Culburra, now settling into life in Newcastle. I'm going to mull over it for a couple more years. Here we go. Rider up on the outside. Johanne Defay with 4 minutes to go goes after that big number. It's an 8.67. She may not have time to get back out there and get a second ride, so this may be her last shot at it. Gliding through a couple of big off the tops. This is a pretty steep wave. Has the speed to get back out in front of this one, but it might just reel off without her. Maybe her only chance was to try and backdoor that section, but it's not called impossibles for no reason.
Taking a look at the replay here, but just so clean on the face. I mean, the winds have been pretty much offshore all day long, but every once in a while you see there's some bumps on the face. This one did not have it. So some strong turns on that outside section. And she was on her way. It was, you know, if she could have found the barrel down in here or just some big, huge finish move, we could have talked about the 8.67, but at this point when it splits in half like that, yeah, it's kind of over. There is one more here.
But Tyler's going to be on it, and it's a big drop out onto that open face, straight into that first transition turn, just setting up these steeper sections of the wave. And this wave is really standing up nicely here on the inside. It's going to allow a big turn in the pocket, nicely drawn out. And will she climb up into the pocket again? She's thinking about the barrel, has a whole lot of speed, and she's going to run out in front of this one. And you could see her just let out a little scream there. Her board kind of flipped over and got a little tangled up with her at the end there. And a quarterfinal finish will help her stave off the attack of these surfers looking to jump a few rungs on the leaderboard. But Tyler Wright is going to progress through to the semi-finals.